The last is Tahara. It's the hardest to get to. Tahara is purity. No distracting thoughts, no distracting emotions. You're consistent, right? We have a word shalom. Shalom. You wish on a person peace. And I see you and I say to you, shalom. What's shalom really mean? It comes from the word shalem, shlemut, completeness, unity, consistency, right? When I'm an ochev shalom, when I love peace, what I love is consistency and completeness and wholeness and wholesomeness. That what I want for you, when I wish you shalom, what I'm saying is what I want for you in your life is for you to be whole. I don't want you to feel torn apart or feel conflicted. I want you to be at peace with God, and at peace with your kids, and at peace with your parents, and at peace with your wife. And I want your physical drives and your moral and your spiritual and your intellectual drives all to be one. So that is brought here even more so in this idea of Tahara. Purity is the ability to channel all of your energy, all of your focus, intellectually, emotionally, physically, into one activity, into one goal. Not forever. Doesn't mean that you're single-minded, whatever you do right now, you're doing forever. But the ability to concentrate, right? The ability to say that I'm not diffused. Most people's lives are diffused. They're just wandering from place to place, bouncing from one wall to the other wall. Whatever happens to happen, it happens. But there's no focus. Right? Someone told me once that with Moshe, if he was eating breakfast, ate breakfast. He didn't read the newspaper and listen to the radio and do seven. If what I'm doing, what's important in the world right now is that I'm eating my breakfast, then I'm eating my breakfast. Right? And then if I'm talking to you, right, I'm talking to you. We saw a mission in the fifth parak that says, when you talk, God leans in and listens. When I told you the story of, my daughter when she was 2 years old or 3 years old, and I was washing dishes and she came to talk to me and she's talking, she says, Daddy, listen to me. And I said, I am listening to you. She says, no, listen with your face. Right? Did you hear? Listen with your face. Don't stand there and do dishes. If you're talking to me, talk to me. Don't text. If you're sitting at the dinner table with me, put your phone away and talk to me. Be focused. If you're exercising, exercise. If you're learning, you're learning. If you're building, you're building. That the ability to have clarity of what you're about, what you're focused on, what you're trying to do right now, and to put your full emotional, intellectual, spiritual, physical self into anything. If I'm painting, I'm painting. If I'm cycling, I'm cycling. Whatever that is, to be 100%, to give it all, to be intense, right? To be focused. That's Tahara. That's purity. That we're not meant to be, if you want to grow towards wisdom, you can't just be scattered. And most of us, we're scattered. We've got no clarity. We've got no unity of thought. We're just whatever happens to be, we're 60% focused on whatever happens to be at that moment. Learn how to contemplate one idea at a time. Don't get distracted. When you're focused on that idea, clarify it. Work it through until you have a real handle on it. Learn how to experience and feel an emotion. And feel it in a focused way. Right? Rav Tatz talks about the area of physicality between husband and wife. And he says, why is that kind of this? It's an activity where you are physically and emotionally involved in one thing, and it's not a thing that has another end. It's like it's an enwrapped thing wrapped in itself, and it's soul to soul connection. What you're focused on at that moment is connecting your soul to another soul, right? And nothing else is part of that. And it's your emotions and your tactile experience. Like everything it's purity, right? It's the connection and the focus of everything you have, your soul on her soul. And that's why God says, the fact, the funny is, the Catholics think that, sexuality is about procreation. And Americans think it's about recreation. And we say it's about connection. It's about soul-to-soul connection. And for that moment, you're not focused on anyone else or anything else, and you're not thinking about your job, and you're not using it as a tool to get something else done. It's your whole world is closed off and focused on her, and her whole world is closed off and focused on you, right? And it's a tahara, right? It's a purity of connection. Right? That's why you're not supposed to, you have to ask your question, how, dating your secretary makes you connected to your wife, right? That's why we're opposed to extramarital affairs and premarital affairs, because it's a physical tool to build a spiritual and an emotional connection, which is also why children come from that. Because that moment when you are totally connected to your wife, right, it's through that connection and the purity of that connection that children arise. Right? To the extent that you're connected in a pure and wholesome and tahor way, that your wife is tahor, she's spent a week preparing herself for you, and that you're tahor and you're focused on her, and it's a soul-to-soul connection, your kids come out wholesome. And to the extent that you spend the next 18 years connected to your wife in a wholesome way, your kids will grow wholesome. To the extent that you're in a battle and you're not connected and there's no tahara, right? To that extent, your kids are damaged. Right? Tahara is either no distractions. Whatever I'm focused on, I am absolutely focused on. So those are the 5 pieces of attitude that he says. You want to get to wisdom, you have to want ema, yira, anava, simcha, tahara. You have to be able to say, wow. Can't be a cynic. There has to be something in the world that impresses you. Yira. There has to be something in the world that's valuable to you. And you have to recognize that your choices and decisions and actions and attitudes matter, because you can break it. Anava. You have to be not all about yourself. You have to be focused on, I want to be meaningful and great. I want to be connected to something bigger than me. Simcha. I recognize that it's all good. Life is a gift. I love my life. It's all good. And tahara. I'm not distracted. I'm totally focused. Whatever I'm in, I'm in. What I'm doing. I am pure and concentrated. I am not dissipated. Those are the 5 attitudes.